Nathan here with Back to the Frame Rate, here to tell you about an upcoming event that not only are we ecstatic about, but we think you'll be too. We're about to reach our 100th episode, and we want to celebrate it with our friends and fans. So come on out to the Back to the Frame Rate 100th episode spectacular, where we're screening the 1999 sci-fi comedy classic Galaxy Quest, followed by the actual recording of our 100th podcast in front of you, a live studio audience where we'll have a ton of fun talking about the film, but the most important aspect is you. We need you there to share your opinions, your stories, and your questions so that you are part of the podcast recording and thus part of podcast history. This is a completely free event. All ages are welcome. We've got special guests lined up, prizes to give out, and free popcorn, snacks, and water. So come on down Friday night, January 10th, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Weston Art and Innovation Center in Weston, Massachusetts. Geek out with us and make our 100th episode one to remember.
In the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Join us as we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms, deliberating on whether each one of us is worthy of salvation or destined for destruction in the face of the impending asteroid apocalypse. I'm Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens, Brianna Butterworth and Sam Cole.
Woo!
How is everybody?
Hello.
We're going to get to our first segment, which is going to be our weekly highlights. But it's probably, I have so much I saw this past week because I am in this end of the year. Let's catch up on everything from 2024 that I missed. And there's actually even more that I did. I'm not going to probably get through all of these, but I had a lot of time on my hands this past weekend. So I'm like, I did a lot of watching. And this isn't even including the things that weren't from this year that I decided I was just going to get through. But,
what were your favorites?
So I took the family to see, I'm not going to go through my favorites. I'm just going to mention a few. I took my family a couple of weeks ago to see Moana 2. And this is not going to be even close to my top 10 of the year, but we all loved my family and I, we loved the first film a lot. I think the songs are great. They are sung in my household all the time.
Yeah, I like Moana.
I think the entire story of that first film was groundbreaking, but Moana 2, what I can say is that my kids loved it. It delivered what they wanted. But for me, this was an inferior film in just about every conceivable way from the first film. I think not having Lin-Manuel Miranda back to write the music was a big loss because the songs are not there. And I would be shocked if any of the music from this movie enters the zeitgeist of the mainstream culture the way that the first film did. The way that many other Disney musicals have done in recent years. It's also very much a beat for beat retread of the first film. It's not putting the characters in new situations. It's about the safest version of a Disney animated sequel that I've seen in a really long time. I mean, I'm happy my kids love the movie, but a big part of me is sad that a film like this is setting all these records because it just means that we're going to get more sequels that don't take chances. And at the same time, I looked at Inside Out 2, a movie that I liked a lot. Wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but what I did like is that it took the characters and really did take some chances. It did not tell the same story again, which I know this Pixar, Disney Animation is two different entities in a lot of ways, but Moana 2 is really took no chances at all, and that really disappointed me.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I saw in the theater about 2 weeks ago. I'll mention. You want me to keep going? Or you want to like ping pong around?
I would like to bring some comedy to this discussion because all this
please,
is true. So I've been obviously in Los Angeles recently, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is because I've been to events and premieres, like incredible movie theaters, picture and sound. And so I went to Providence Place to see War of the Rohirrim, Lord of the Rings, and excellent IMAX theater. As we all know, we saw Twister there. The IMAX theater is excellent, but went to see the 9:50 p.m. show on the night of Friday, December 13th. I should have known because it was Friday the 13th. I get there. There are me and 4 other people in the auditorium. Wow. It did not do well at the box office this weekend. No. And no one is there. And then it gets to 10:15 p.m. And by this time, I realized they've forgotten to start the movie, meaning the management, they're just not playing it. So I knew I'd already known this, like it was happening. And so I was just sitting there waiting because I didn't want to be the guy to go out and speak to management. I was hoping somebody else would get motivated because I was feeling lazy. So someone did. It came back in. Then the previews start, but the projector is off, and so it's all the images are all tiny on the screen. There's a lot of black space. So I go outside, fix it again. They fix that. They get it a little bit better, but the whole film, which is in like a beautiful 235:1 aspect ratio, played small on the screen. Like they just couldn't get the fitting right. All right. Then halfway through, it's mid-December. It's a winter night. They started blasting the air conditioning and it was freezing. And I was like, guys, I mean, you don't have to be perfect, but this is like unbelievable incompetence. Come on. But that was the story. And to get to the film, I will not give away any spoilers. I will say some really cool animation. I solidly enjoyed the movie. It was not bad. I think for me, the whole time I was watching it as an anime, my entire feeling throughout the film was, I wish this was a live action film with like actors present, like a cast with like a fresh director, even though it's, good director. And ultimately it felt like a storyboard for a live action film. The story I liked, the plot I liked. For me, anime was not a fit. And I like anime. I've seen some anime films, but this was this strange, awkward hybrid for me where the whole time I appreciated it. I recommend people go see it. But boy, did it just make me want a live action film. If this movie had been acted out and they'd gone to New Zealand to shoot it, this might have been a worthy spin-off film, in my opinion.
Okay.
I want to see it.
It did not do well. I think it made about 4.5 million.
I think it's a little bit dead on arrival. People were saying the animation style was very like a well-tread animation style, very standard, nothing exciting to bring out the anime people.
Not innovative. I would love it though if you saw it be like, because I would love be fascinated what you thought.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, it's so busy right now.
I hear that. Yeah.
Controversial. I caught up on Juror number 2.
So did I.
Hated it. How did you feel?
So you hated it.
Now I have to watch it. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So why did you hate it? Give me your thoughts.
I hated it from beginning to end. I hated it in a box. I hated it with a fox. I do not understand why people like this movie. It looks like it was made for like just TV reruns. It's flat. The lighting on it is so flat and boring to look at. It's a story I've heard like a bunch of times. It's 12 Angry Men at points, and it does not at any point reach those heights.
To try to get to the lingo of the cool new kids, if they say like this movie slaps or this movie fucks, you're saying that this movie definitely does neither of those things, right?
It does neither of those things.
See, I know I'm cool. I'm hip. I'm hip. I'm young, guys.
I'm not. This movie. People really are. And Nathan, maybe you have a different opinion. I know a lot of people really like this movie. There's clearly something that I just totally missed. It did not anchor me emotionally or visually. And I do think you have to have one or the other.
Well, I will say that I think that there was a period of time where Clint Eastwood in the mid-aughts could do no wrong. between
Sure.
Mystic River, Million Dollar
Yeah,
Baby,
$1 million baby. Yeah.
Changeling. I think even Gran Torino. That whole period from 2003 to 2008 was a sweet spot for him, and I think he's been very hit and miss since then. I actually loathed Cry Macho, which came out maybe over the pandemic. I think it was just
I haven't seen
terrible,
it.
terrible storytelling, terrible writing. Juror number 2, I think, is his best movie since that heyday. Actually, I really, although I've missed a lot of his movies since then. I did not see Sully. I did not see several. I've missed about 2 or 3 of his movies in the last 10 years. But I actually did have a good time with Juror number 2. I found it very pulpy and kind of silly in a lot of ways. And I do watch a lot of courtroom drama, Law and Order type things. And this felt, yes, it felt like an extended episode of that. I do see your opinion on it is not out of the ordinary, B. I've seen people that are really loving this movie, and I've seen a backlash that this is one of the worst things they've seen as well. I feel most opinions are in the positive on this, but I did like this. I really did have a good time with this. I think Nicholas Hoult is great in this movie. I think, and also we're, I think, on the cusp of a Holtessance right now. Between
I'd like to see him in more roles like this.
They could have done more with his role. They could have done more with this guy. He's a little flat, his character. I would have liked to have seen him kind of wrestle with the situation that he's going through. He doesn't kind of sweat it out, maybe what's going on. We're not really spoiling what this movie is about, although it's everywhere. But I can't wait to see him in Nosferatu next week. And he is going to be Lex Luthor next year in the Superman movie, which I'm excited to see. So, but I did have a fun time with this movie. This is all I'll say. I have the opposite opinion. I'm in
That's fair. Do you like it, camp?
Yeah, I did like it.
I really
guess we're gonna have to wait and see what Juror number 3 says, huh?
I was entertained.
Just so it's not all heavy. Movie that I loved. I finally caught up on The Beast with Leia Seydoux. So fun. Oh my gosh, this movie was all over the place. I thought it was a rip-roaring good time. Really interesting, innovative, different, engaging, fun to watch. Not necessarily the lightest watch, but
The Beast. I don't know.
The Beast. You gotta check it out.
Where is it at? Is it on the streaming platform now?
Yes. Good question. Where though? I don't remember. I think maybe on Max is where I saw it.
Okay.
Or it's definitely on Criterion. And Emilia Perez. I don't know if anyone's caught up on that, but that's another just like big taking chances, big swings.
That's on my end of year list if I can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
So speaking of things I've squeezed in, B, there was something you watched early in this year that you mentioned that I finally caught up on. When you mentioned it, I kind of dismissed it, but I finally caught up on it, and it's called Hundreds of Beavers. Wow.
What can I say except you're welcome?
I'll credit you for putting this on my radar. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. This is I guess I'll call it a low budget comedy that is hard to describe. But basically, a man stranded in the wilderness trying to survive the winter, and he encounters these many woodland creatures in these comedic situations. And mind you, these creatures are just basically actors dressed up, as rabbits, raccoons, and beavers. This movie is like a fever dream, and it's almost like a sitcom-y situations that it gets into. I didn't know in the first 20 minutes of this movie if I was going to make it through or not. Like if this is is this the movie? Is this what's happening? And then I looked at, this is an hour and 40 plus minute movie. Like this can't be what the movie is, but it is. And
the whole time
it won me over after a while because I didn't realize, because I'd say the first 20 minutes of it actually are kind of slow in some ways, but this movie picks up. The jokes come rapid fire at the end, and there's so many wonderful callbacks. The way that jokes are set up and paid off in this movie are genius. I can't even describe this in a way that would make people probably want to watch this, but you just have to check this out. It's on Amazon Prime. It is really, really wonderful. It's done for only, I think, $140,000, this movie or something like that. And it did really well at Fantastic Fest in
You have to
2022.
wonder how it even got that budget. The guy was like, picture Guy Madden meets Looney Tunes.
Well, honestly, it really does have some wonderful post effects in it.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant,
it's a good looking film.
And I like the fact that it's referencing like Legend of Zelda video games and other style video games, the way that it's creating like a map of his fur trap and stuff like that. It's like something I never expected was going to happen.
What's the name of the film again?
Hundreds of Beavers.
Hundreds of
And
Beavers.
you know what? I think they're underselling it. There might be thousands of beavers.
And honestly, it's the kind of movie, I will say, I don't encourage this to everyone, but being under the influence of maybe something that assists you might be the way to enjoy this movie just a little bit more.
Yeah. You shouldn't raw dog Hundreds of Beavers.
Completely sober. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. So I do recommend this movie. And I almost kind of want to find a way of fitting this in my top 10 list of the year. But like, can I take this movie seriously? I don't know. But man, what a wild time it was. So yeah, I do think it could have been a little bit tighter. It's an hour and 40 plus minutes. It feels like something that could have been like a short
20.
film, hour and 25 tops.
Yeah.
Like how did they did kind of milk this.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything else, B, or should I mention my last thing?
Go for it.
All right. My last thing is, or Sam, do you have anything else? Or just the war?
No, just.
Okay. The last thing I'll just mention is on the same day, I watched two films that were both getting some critical acclaim starring Saoirse Ronan. And I watched both the Outrun and Blitz on the same day. But the Outrun is the movie I'm going to talk about. And Blitz was directed by Steve McQueen, but I think Blitz is the film I was actually looking more forward to based on McQueen's track record with 12 Years a Slave. And I really like Shame. But I discovered that the Outrun, which is directed by, I'm going to not say her name right, Nora Figshait. Oh my God, was a far superior film. And so Ronan plays a woman who's recently left rehab for alcoholism and returns home to northern Scotland, where she helps her father on her farm. And this film is told in a series of flashbacks of her time in London, showing her slow demise and eventually hitting rock bottom. And Ronan is excellent here as a woman battling her past demons of addiction. She gives an Oscar caliber performance, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's nominated for this. Awesome. The on-location filming in northern Scotland is so gorgeous. It's the most, of all the films I've seen this year, the cinematography, the location filming is the best of any movie I've seen. So I highly recommend the Outrun. Nice. It really wrecked me as well. And there's some fun comedic moments in this as well here and there, but it is a fantastic film.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely see it. I'm a huge fan of Saoirse Ronan. I know it was 15 years ago, but I've always enjoyed The Lovely Bones.
I was thinking of that one.
I really love that movie. Yeah.
All right. So that's a show for this week. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the Fallout Shelter. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Find more episodes of Back to the Frame Rate. Find more episodes at backtotheframerate.com and follow us on social media with our handle Back to the Frame Rate. Your support brightens our bunker. Until next time, stay with us, keep hope alive, and share our show with your friends. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.